We've heard a lot of talk in the last few days about our challenges, and I know they feel big and very real, and that's because they are. But as we face into this really tough work, the thing we really have to remember is the incredible strength that we have as a field, and especially when we collaborate and work together in the ways that we've just talked about in the Ford Made in America project. Conference is collaboration writ large. Think back for a minute to last year in Chicago, and the Chicago Symphony's incredible Beyond the Score program. Who could forget that? Here was a programming breakthrough built on the success and also the failures of many previous attempts to bring multimedia elements and orchestral performance to life. Now fast forward to today, and about 11 orchestras have licensed Beyond the Score, extending its reach while making it available at a fraction of the original production costs. Conference was the springboard for this important new work to enter our world and for orchestras to find an important new way of working together. 2 years ago, the results of another remarkable collaboration were injected into our system through Conference. The Audience Growth Initiative, also known as CHURN. First, 9 orchestras worked together to explore the problem of audience churn. Now, 2 years later, dozens of orchestras are experimenting with the knowledge that emerged from that landmark study. It's great and important news that orchestras are gaining momentum in meeting their challenges, and it's even better news that they're doing it by working together. We need this collective energy now more than ever. And this is why. Because we're seeing increasing instances of a field-wide challenge as orchestras across the country find that the very purpose and value of what they do is being called into question. And these questions are coming from funders, from policymakers, even from community and nonprofit leaders. Many orchestras are currently facing new state or local property and excise taxes, a clear challenge to their tax-exempt status. This is a slippery slope and a disturbing precedent. It could spread to more taxes in more states for more orchestras. Now, these proposals are clearly driven by cash-starved states and localities seeking revenues. But they also reveal that policymakers lack a clear understanding of how orchestras benefit the public good. The League has already done some important research on the question of public value. Ben Cameron raised it again in his keynote on Wednesday, but a new report from this year's Salzburg Global Seminar goes further. Called The Performing Arts in Lean Times, Opportunities for Reinvention, the report describes a crisis of legitimacy for arts institutions because the principles on which they were founded are no longer a given in mainstream culture. The report calls on arts leaders themselves to raise the level of awareness and of understanding. How can orchestras define and express their value? The old formula was pretty simple. We produced concerts. Many people bought tickets to those concerts. But since the ticket income wasn't sufficient to cover the cost, orchestras sought contributions, tax-deductible contributions. And why do donors get a tax incentive and orchestras get exempted from paying taxes? Because we are presumed to be contributing to the public good. But today, views about what defines the public good are changing. When culture was more monolithic, orchestras, opera, museums, ballet, nonprofit theater all enjoyed a kind of special status. Today we compete with an unbelievable array of cultural offerings, some in the nonprofit sphere and some in the commercial. People are asking, does it make sense that orchestras get a tax exemption, but indie rock bands don't? Or that chamber music groups are tax exempt when jazz clubs are not? And as the strain on public coffers intensifies, many others wonder just what is the value being delivered by the nonprofit arts? Health, education, safety, These all seem pretty self-evident. What is it that we do that is so essential that justifies asking the public to forego hundreds of millions of dollars in public tax revenues? Orchestras have often answered this question by referring to our free concerts in the parks, our educational concerts, or our community engagement work. But these can only be a part of the answer. Doesn't our core activity of performing orchestral music for paying audiences create public value? 3 years ago, I read a fascinating study by arts researcher Alan Brown that begins to answer this question. It's called Assessing the Intrinsic Impact of Live Performance, and the study attempts to define and measure how live performance transforms audiences. And by the way, this also was an incredible collaborative effort. The study was commissioned by a consortium of 14 major university and college presenters, all of whom had a big stake in this issue, as do we. Alan and his team surveyed audiences before and after a variety of performing arts events. They developed a list of intrinsic impacts, which, among other things, begins to create a vocabulary for describing how performances affect people. Listen to these 6 intrinsic benefits that performances create for audiences. The first one is captivation, becoming engrossed or absorbed. The second one, intellectual stimulation or mental engagement. 3, emotional resonance and empathy. 4, spiritual value, or gaining a sense of transcendence. 5, aesthetic growth, being stretched beyond what we already know. And 6, social bonding, connecting with others in the audience, the community, or other cultures. I'll read these again. It's captivation, intellectual stimulation, emotional resonance, spiritual value, aesthetic growth, and social bonding. I don't know about you, but I would feel really, really good if I knew the concerts that I played or produced yielded those results in the audience. And these kinds of effects on individuals can radiate outwards into better interpersonal relations and beyond into community benefits, like greater understanding and tolerance of differences. I'd suggest that this list gives us an excellent starting place for talking about what orchestras accomplish. And what if this wasn't just about what we say, but also about what we do? Some of you have heard me say that we need to change from being about something to being for somebody. And we heard Russell Willis Taylor say this very same thing yesterday. And what if our missions were not about giving concerts or how well we're going to give concerts, but about the impact of those concerts, like achieving aesthetic growth or empathy or social bonding in our communities? Or pick whatever combination you want to pick. I mean, this is really just the start. If I was going to add my own, I don't know if anyone else would agree, but I often feel awe and inspiration when I'm in the presence of great virtuosity. You might have other impacts you'd want to add. So what if we redefined our missions in terms of the benefits that we create for our public? The Memphis Symphony's mission used to be to create the leading regional symphony orchestra in America. I don't know what that means, except that they were aiming to be better than some other regional orchestra, whatever better might mean. They've rethought all of that. Today, the Memphis Symphony's mission is to create meaningful experiences through music. That mission, focused on the experience, led the Memphis Symphony to do things differently. For example, the musicians have designed a series for non-traditional audiences. They took it out of the concert hall and programmed it to be like people's iPod playlists. Last month, they combined Grieg and Strauss with performances by blues and fusion artists. That's one way of adding value. Another new program of theirs, called Leading from Every Chair, brings teams of symphony musicians into local businesses like FedEx. And these teams use the art of ensemble playing to demonstrate various aspects of teamwork, leadership, and creative problem solving, a different new way of creating value. Now, I'm not telling everyone here to do what Memphis did, and nor are these the impacts that every orchestra should be seeking. But I am telling you that thinking about the audience experience is helping orchestras find new ways to innovate. So again, this is not just about what we say, but it's about what we do. Our purpose needs to be about the experience we create for our public. If we think about what those experiences are and can be, we can open up a whole new range of possibilities for focusing our work. One of the features of innovative orchestras that we know about because of the study we did on them, and I hope you'll all download this from our website, that's the Fearless Journeys book. What we know is this thing that's in there called an open artistic model. The concert that we're about to experience grew out of just such an open artistic model, the Atlanta Symphony's War Room. This concert program is not only about new music, it's focused on a specific school of composition, the Atlanta School. A few weeks ago, someone told me the Atlanta Symphony has no business calling that a school. After all, these composers aren't anything like Lessees or the Impressionists. Well, the Atlanta Symphony would beg to differ. They would say what these composers have in common is that their music is tonal, tuneful, and inspired by world and popular music. And what they are saying is that they really believe in these composers, that they've made long-term commitments to playing their music and to giving them commissions because this is the music that matters to this orchestra and to this community. Now, today, this is another one of those great moments when we're all together to experience the artistic work of one of our peers, a moment when the accomplishment of one is shared with all for appreciation, discussion, and transmission. But we're also together as an audience. So when you leave today's performance, we want to invite you to play a role in the ongoing work of articulating the public value created by orchestras. We asked Alan Brown to design a simple survey to help capture the impact of this concert on all of us. And I understand that somebody hit send a little too soon, and I think it's probably already in your inboxes. So it'll be there waiting for you if you haven't opened it up already. It's a completely anonymous survey, and you can get the results right then and there. As you put your input in, you'll see the results coming up. And perhaps reflecting on our own experience this afternoon will help us find new ways to create meaning for our own audiences. If you take home one overarching idea from all of our work this week, I hope it's this, that we are not about giving concerts. We are for the people in our communities. We are for their humanity because we know that our performances can make and do make people more human and therefore better citizens, which in turn strengthens the democracy that we live in. If we can work together to help each other hold true to this vision, the solutions and direction we need will become clear. Thank you very much.